Pickleball looks simple at first: a small court, a plastic ball with holes, a paddle, and a low net. But that simplicity is exactly why it spread so quickly. The game sits in a sweet spot between tennis, table tennis, and badminton. It is easy enough for beginners to try in a few minutes, but tactical enough that experienced players can spend years refining their shots, positioning, and timing. Unlike tennis, the ball does not bounce as high or travel as fast. Unlike table tennis, players move across a full court. And unlike badminton, the ball must bounce in many key situations. This mix creates a sport that feels familiar, but plays by its own logic. To understand why pickleball became one of America's fastest-growing sports, you have to start with how its unusual rules shape every rally. The basic setup is compact. Pickleball is played by either 2 players in singles or 4 players in doubles, using smooth-faced paddles to hit a hollow, perforated plastic ball over a net. The net is 34 inches high at the center, lower than a standard tennis net, and the court is much smaller than a tennis court. The playing area is based on the dimensions of a doubles badminton court, which means players cover less ground than they would in tennis. That smaller footprint matters. It makes the game more accessible for people across a wide range of ages and athletic backgrounds, while also encouraging quick reactions and close-range decision-making. The ball, paddle, net height, and court size all work together to keep rallies active without requiring the same speed, strength, or endurance demanded by larger court racket sports. Pickleball began in 1965 on Bainbridge Island in Washington state. It was not originally designed as a polished competitive sport. It started as a backyard game for children, created in the United States during a moment of casual experimentation. That origin still explains a lot about the sport's identity. The rules were practical, the equipment was approachable, and the court could fit into community spaces more easily than a tennis facility. Over time, what began as a family-friendly pastime in the Pacific Northwest slowly expanded into clubs, recreation centers, schools, retirement communities, and public parks. In 2022, Washington recognized that local legacy by naming pickleball the official state sport. Few sports make the journey from backyard invention to state symbol, and pickleball did it while keeping much of its casual, social character intact. One of the most important things that separates pickleball from tennis is the ball itself. A pickleball is hard plastic and perforated with holes, which changes the way it moves through the air and bounces off the court. Compared with a tennis ball, it produces less bounce and often loses speed more quickly. That means players cannot rely only on big topspin, deep court coverage, or powerful baseline rallies. Instead, they have to control height, placement, and timing. The ball can be driven hard, but it can also drop suddenly into awkward spaces. Because the bounce is limited, players are constantly deciding whether to attack, reset, block, or soften the next shot. The ball's behavior turns pickleball into a game of patience and angles as much as power. The most famous feature of the pickleball court is the non-volley zone, commonly called the kitchen. This is a 7-foot area on both sides of the net. A player standing in this zone is not allowed to hit the ball out of the air before it bounces. In other words, you cannot simply camp at the net and smash every incoming shot before it lands. This single rule reshapes the entire sport. It prevents taller, stronger, or faster players from dominating every rally with quick volleys at the net. It also creates a tactical buffer zone where touch shots become valuable. The kitchen forces players to think carefully about footwork and balance, because stepping into the wrong place at the wrong time can turn an aggressive shot into a fault. Because of the kitchen, one of pickleball's signature shots is the dink. A dink is a soft, controlled shot that lands in or near the opponent's non-volley zone. It is not meant to win the point immediately. Instead, it is designed to limit the opponent's ability to attack. A good dink stays low, bounces softly, and forces the other player to lift the ball upward if they want to return it. That lift can create an opportunity for a harder shot later. This is where pickleball becomes more strategic than it may appear to casual observers. Players often trade dinks at close range, waiting for a mistake. The rally can feel slow for a moment, but underneath that slowness is a contest of pressure, patience, and precision. Pickleball also limits the serve in ways that keep the game from becoming serve-dominated. Serves must be made with an underhand stroke. This reduces the kind of high-speed serving advantage seen in some other racket sports. The serve still matters, because placement and consistency can shape the rally, but it is not usually a point-ending weapon on its own. By reducing the power of the opening shot, pickleball encourages longer exchanges and gives returning players a better chance to get involved. This contributes to the sport's accessibility. Beginners are not immediately overwhelmed by explosive serves, while advanced players can still use spin, depth, and targeting to gain an edge. The serve begins the strategy, but it rarely replaces the rally. The rhythm of pickleball is built around contrast. One moment, players are exchanging slow dinks near the kitchen line. The next, a ball sits too high, and someone attacks with a drive or an overhead smash. This sudden change of pace is one of the sport's defining pleasures. The soft game exists to create pressure without overcommitting. The power game punishes weak returns. A player who attacks too early may hit into the net or send the ball out. A player who stays too passive may give the opponent an easy shot. So the best pickleball players are not simply the strongest hitters. They are the players who know when to slow the ball down, when to speed it up, and when to reset a rally that is getting dangerous. Doubles is a major reason pickleball became so social. With 4 players on a compact court, the game naturally creates conversation, teamwork, and quick rotation between games. The smaller court makes it easier for partners to coordinate, but it also raises the importance of positioning. Players move together, protect the middle, approach the kitchen line, and try not to leave open angles. Because points can depend on small gaps and quick reactions, doubles pickleball rewards communication as much as individual skill. This social structure helped the sport thrive in recreation centers and community parks. People could show up, join a group, play multiple short games, and meet others without needing a large team, expensive equipment, or a long learning curve. The sport's growth numbers are striking. After decades of gradual expansion, pickleball surged in the United States during the early 2020s. From 2021 through 2024, the Sports and Fitness Industry Association named it the fastest-growing sport in the country 4 years in a row. By 2024, estimates put U.S. participation at 19.8 million people, representing massive growth since 2021. A later report said 24.3 million Americans played pickleball in 2025, with 7.48 million considered core players, meaning they played 8 or more times that year. Those figures show that pickleball was not just attracting one-time curiosity. It was converting many casual participants into repeat players. The combination of low barrier to entry, social play, and tactical depth turned a trend into a broader participation movement. Professional pickleball followed the participation boom. In 2019, 2 professional tours were established in the United States, and professional leagues soon followed. This changed how many people viewed the sport. What had often been seen as a recreational activity now had elite competition, rankings, team formats, sponsorships, broadcasts, and full-time athletes. The professional game also revealed how high the skill ceiling really is. At the top level, players use sharp counters, disguised speed-ups, precise drops, and rapid hand exchanges at the kitchen line. More than 90% of professional pickleball players have a tennis background, which shows how skills from other racket sports can transfer. But success still requires adapting to pickleball's unique ball, court, kitchen rules, and short reaction tactical patterns. Pickleball is no longer only an American recreation story. While the United States remains its largest center of growth, the sport is expanding internationally. Australia has developed professional leagues and a professional tour, and organizers in parts of Asia are building new competitive structures. This global spread makes sense because pickleball solves several practical problems that limit other sports. It needs less space than tennis, can be played indoors or outdoors, works for casual and competitive formats, and welcomes mixed ages and skill levels on the same court. Its future will depend on facility access, coaching, equipment standards, and how well communities balance recreational play with competitive growth. But the reason it caught fire is clear. Pickleball feels easy to start, difficult to master, and social from the very first rally. If you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe for more explainers.